Shri Chaitanya Manoveśtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Yasanayan Devo Bhagavan has Gata Sada Bhakta Kevalaya Janam Dhunanoti Dvantam Arkavat. So we're reading the 13th chapter of the 7th canto. It describes the behavior of a perfect person. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, you virtually have information on every topic. And according to the Vedic philosophy, society gets divided into 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. 4 ashramas are Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sanyasi. What's the duty of a brahmachari? What's the duty of a grihastha? Vanaprastha, sannyasa. It's clearly explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the opening verses of this chapter, the duties and behavior of a sannyasi is nicely explained. Of course, it may not be possible to follow 90% of those instructions. But it's very nicely explained, and the gist is a sannyasi should not be attracted to worldly affairs. A sannyasi should lead a very simple life. That's the gist. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita you read a story. Sanatana Goswami was also imprisoned by the king because he refused to work for the king. The king was very angry and he had him imprisoned. Sanatana, who wanted to go and meet Lord Chaitanya in Varanasi. So he received information that his brother Rupa Goswami has left some money for the local grocery store. The local grocery stores were like banks in those days. So Sanatana offered some money to the jailer, to the prison officer, and said, "Let me leave, I want to go to Mecca." He said, "How can I let you leave? If I let you leave, the king will not spare me." Anyway, so Sanatana offered him some money. Initially he refused, but when Sanatana increased the offer, he finally let him go. So Sanatana, on the way to Varanasi, first stopped at a location he could spend the night. The proprietor of that facility had an astrologer with him, and the astrologer could calculate how rich the person is. And he was very rich, then they would rob his wealth. So this astrologer told the hotel proprietor, he's a very rich tourist. He has 8 gold coins with him. And the proprietor of the motel or rest house gave him super VIP treatment. When he got this nice treatment, Sanatana, who was very experienced in diplomacy, could understand, this man must be wanting something from me. Someone very friendly, someone flatters you a lot, then the man must be wanting something. So Sanatana asked his servant, are you carrying any wealth with you? The servant said, I'm carrying 7 gold coins. Actually, he was carrying 8. So Sanatana said, why are you carrying death with you? And he told the proprietor of the motel that, help me cross the forest, and here is some money for you. The hotel proprietor said, the rest house proprietor said, I think you have 8 gold coins, and I was so foolish, I was planning on killing you tonight to take this money. But now that you've offered it to me, I won't take it. Please, no. Sanatana said, if you don't take it, somebody else will kill me to take it. So better you take it. So Sanatana was proceeding towards Varanasi, where Lord Chaitanya was residing. On the way, he stopped to meet his brother-in-law Shrikant, who had come with 300,000 gold coins to purchase what? Horses for the Mohammedan king. So he saw Sanatana, his brother-in-law, long hair, torn clothes, dirty clothes, and he said, what are you doing? What have you done to your life? Come and stay with me. Shave your hair and so on. But Sanatana was not inclined. Nevertheless, he gave Sanatana very expensive chadar, probably must be from Kashmir, to wear. So Sanatana finally arrived in Varanasi, and Sanatana was standing outside the building where Lord Chaitanya was residing. Whose house was Lord Chaitanya residing in? Tapan Misra, who belonged to scheduled caste. So the Lord told Sanatana, the Lord told Tapan Misra and Chandrasekhar, there's a great sage sitting outside, standing outside, please bring him in. They came outside, all they could see was a man with a beard, and Chandrasekhar concluded, oh, this must be some mullah. Lord Chaitanya said, no, he's a great sage. So when he came in, the Lord embraced him, but the Lord was staring at the expensive blanket or chadar that Sanatana had worn. So Sanatana could understand that the Lord is not happy seeing him wear this expensive blank chadar. So Sanatana went to the banks of the Ganga, where there was an old Bengali mendicant. And Sanatana told the old Bengali mendicant, sir, I want to exchange my nice chadar with your torn blanket. And the Bengali mendicant said, are you joking? You're going to give me that expensive Canadian Kashmiri chadar in exchange for this torn blanket? Sanatana said no. Anyway, when Sanatana came back to Lord Chaitanya saw that Sanatana was not wearing an expensive chadar. Instead, he had a torn blanket on his body. So Lord Chaitanya was very pleased. And Lord Chaitanya said, A good doctor, physician, does not cure a disease and leave the cause of the disease behind. He said, one who is in a renounced order of life, you renounced everything. So why should you wear this opulent clothing? Sanyasi should live, a renounced person should live very simply. So Lord Chaitanya was very pleased by seeing Sanatan's mood. So this statement that Lord Chaitanya made is based on, it is a description of a sannyasi in the 13th chapter of the 7th canto. In the verses that we read, Narada Muni is explaining, the one in the renounced order should live simply, dress simply, and eat simply. He should not read books just to earn his livelihood, like you see a lot of so-called spiritualists. They do Krishna Bhagavad Kathas and all for the purpose of making money. And a sannyasi should not give allurements to attract disciples. So after explaining the duties of a sannyasi and the behavior of a sannyasi, the Prahlad Maharaj proceeded on a tour of the planet along with his associates. He wanted to study the different saintly people to see how a saintly person should behave. And as he was traveling, he saw a renunciate. This individual was enlightened, but he was sitting down like a python. A python sits in one place, doesn't move, and so here was a saintly person who was sitting down like a python. But Prahlad Maharaj could see that he was enlightened and self-realized. So Prahlad Maharaj asked him, you look very advanced, why are you sitting over here? So the python is speaking this verse to Prahlad Maharaj and through Prahlad Maharaj to all of us. What is the python saying? Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is full of all opulences. So Prabhupada explains this point in the purport. Narayan or Krishna is full of all opulences, namely 6. Aishwarasya samargasya, vīryasya yashashasya, jnana viragyava shaiva, sanna bhaga itangana. Many people claim to be God, but according to our Vedic scriptures, Bhagavan and Narayan is one who is in possession of 6 opulences to an unlimited degree. And what are the 6 opulences? Aishwarasya Samagrasya. He is the wealthiest of all, the most famous, the most beautiful, the most knowledge, the strongest, and the most renowned. Anyone who possesses these 6 qualities to an unlimited degree can be called Bhagavan. So the word Bhagavan is not so cheap. These days you have people who can't do virtually anything and they claim to be Bhagavan. So Prabhupada in the purpose says, Bhaktya Kevalya indicates that by executing devotional service, one can attain full knowledge. So what does the Lord do? He drives away the darkness of ignorance as the sun drives away the darkness of the universe. So if you are engaged in service of the Lord, in service of Narayana or Krishna, then through that process of service, you destroy your illusion. Just like we offer this prayer, 𝐿 Jnana Shalakya. I was born in ignorance, but by the help of the spiritual teacher, my ignorance is now destroyed. So, the Supreme Lord is within the core of the heart of a pure devotee. He is within everyone's heart. Ishvara sarva bhutanam yadeshi rajuna tesati. But the difference is, a non-devotee does not recognize that the Lord is in my heart. A non-devotee does not accept of the law of karma work. Non-devotee does not accept within the body there is a soul, and the soul is eternal. The non-devotee does not accept that there is transmigration of the body. Whereas the devotee understands the Lord is in my heart. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarvasya chayam hridhi sanivishto matas mitagyanam vanamja. I am the cause of smaran, remembrance, and then apohana, forgetfulness. So why does Krishna assist one in remembering him, and he assists somebody else in forgetting him? Krishna helps A in remembering him, and he rejects any helps B in forgetting him. Why? Well, that is based upon how we desire. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, Arjuna pleaded confusion and begs Krishna to enlighten him as to what was his duty. Krishna began to speak the philosophy, and in the 18th chapter Krishna said, is your illusion now gone? Have you heard this with an attentive mind? To which Arjuna replied, yes, I heard this with an attentive mind. My illusion is now gone, and now I'm ready to act as you desire. So that should be our mood. So the Python is telling that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one who is full of all opulences, and he is residing within the heart, and as we surrender to him, he destroys away our ignorance. Just like before coming to Krishna consciousness, we were all in so much ignorance. Is that right?
Yes, Lord.
Yeah? We were all in ignorance. And then we came in contact with Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada's institution, representatives of ISKCON. And as we started associating with them, we recognized what is right, what is wrong. Every day we hear the importance of sadhu sangha. Why? Because if you are in the right association, you will be able to remove darkness. So therefore, association with the saintly person, association with the instruction of the saintly person, Shastra, is very important. As we approach the Lord and take to the path of devotional service, our ignorance begins to get destroyed. What does ignorance mean? being ignorant about the process of devotional service. We are not ignorant about materialistic tendencies. Just like you don't have to go to a school to learn the principle of eating, sleeping, defending, mating. You don't need a teacher to teach you how to eat, sleep, defend and mate. So, due to the strong influence of Vidya, we are naturally attracted to this. But, if we come in contact with the Lord and His devotees, then this ignorance gets removed. Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagavanu Ji Guru Krishna Kripa Pai Bhakti Lata Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while explaining to Rupa Goswami, says, the living entity is transmigrating in various species. And after going through many, many species, birth and death, he receives the Bhakti Lata being seed of devotional service. Prabhupada explains, a log of wood is being pushed down and it's coming down from the top, and by chance it gets stuck in some corner of a stone. So the living entity is going through many births and deaths, and if he is fortunate enough, he comes in contact with a devotee and receives Bhakti Lata Bij, which means you receive knowledge about the importance of devotional service. So that's why we should engage on this path of devotional service. We should stay in spiritual association. Now, in the purport, Prabhupada says, the Lord is pleased when He sees the devotee engaging in the path of devotional service. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, those who worship Him in devotion, I preserve what they have and I make up what they lack. So, when we come to Krishna consciousness, we lack so many qualities, isn't it? We lack determination, we lack tolerance, we lack patience, we are virtually attracted to illusion rather than devotional service. But devotional service is so powerful, as Prabhupada explained in the purport, that if you engage on this path, then you begin to distance yourself from ignorance. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hayandikara Yaha Krishna Tahini Maya Adhikara. If you engage in devotional service, you escape the influence of what? Maya. Just like when the sun rises, darkness gets destroyed. So, sun drives away darkness, devotional service drives away illusion. And to execute devotional service, you don't need a very dynamic educational career. You just need simplicity and a desire to engage in service to the Lord. It's not that you have to be a PhD to necessarily stay on a devotional path. Now further Prabhupada says, the Lord gives instructions according to the manner of the devotee's surrender. So Krishna gives us intelligence according to our surrender. And which is that verse in the Bhagavad Gita that says the same thing. Ye tamam prapadate. All of them are surrendered to me, I reward them accordingly. And this is natural. In the Bible it is said, as you sow, you shall reap. As we surrender, in proportion to our surrender, Krishna gives us the knowledge. So, Prabhupada is explaining that surrendering to the Lord through the process of devotional service will destroy our ignorance. Initially, when Prabhupada opened the first temple in New York in 1966, there were few American brahmacharis. He did not tell them about any rules and regulations. He just told them, just chant the Hare Krishna mantra. They started chanting. Then after a few days, they said, 2 weeks or so, Swami, don't you want us to follow any rules and regulations? On their own. And then Prabhupada said, yes, this is the day I was waiting for. And the same thing applies even today. When new people join, we just tell them to chant Hare Krishna. And they probably start with 1 or 2 rounds and gradually move up to 16. But as they move up, they also begin to practice, follow the other rules. As they move up, they also realize the importance of avoiding the offenses. Just like there are 3 stages of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in brief. One is the offensive stage. Second is the stage of Namabhasa. Third is the stage of Shuddhanama. Initially when you start chanting, you're chanting and committing offenses at the same time. But then if you go on chanting, associating with devotees, you understand the importance of avoiding the offenses. So you get to the intermediate stage. And you keep endeavoring, eventually you get to the purified state. So, chanting should be executed regardless of whether we are motivated or unmotivated. And as we chant, how is it that as we chant, vairagya also develops? Because as we chant, the anarthas begin to get weak. Just like Rupa Goswami explains, Ado Shraddha Tatha Sadhu. In the initial stage, you should have this desire that I want to perfect my life. Just like if you pass through a garden, you can smell the flower and identify the fragrance. So similarly, the Lord in our heart is identifying our desires, and when He sees that the individual desires devotional service, and He guides one accordingly. And if you follow the process, bhajana kriya, then there is anartha and everything. So as we surrender to the Lord, as we execute the devotional service, our ignorance begins to get destroyed. So the Python told Prahlad Maharaj, you actually know everything. You are not in ignorance. But he's still asking me these questions. The Python was lying down, sitting down in one place, and Prahlad Maharaj is asking him questions. So the devotee of the Lord asks questions more for the benefit of future devotees. Just like Arjuna. Arjuna is a constant companion of the Lord. There was no question of his actually not being aware what his duty should be. But the Lord wanted an opportunity to transmit the message of the Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna was put into ignorance, so he could ask these questions. For whose benefit? For our benefit. So Prahlad Maharaj is also asking questions for our benefit. Similarly, Śrīla Gopāla Kṛṣṇa, he recited the Bhagavata. Why? Parikshit Maharaj was cursed. If Parikshit Maharaj wanted, he could have easily counteracted the curse. But he accepted the curse. The Lord wanted him to accept, because the Lord wanted to narrate the Bhagavatam for our benefit. So the advanced devotees of the Lord do ask questions for our benefit. So to summarize, Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is full of 6 opulences. The demigods are subordinate to the Lord. When Lord Brahma says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha, he means there are many Ishvaras. Ishvara means one who is, what does Ishvara mean? Controller. So there are controllers at various levels, but the Supreme Controller is only one. That's Krishna. So as we endeavor on the devotional path, we will understand the importance of devotional service more and more. In the Bhagavatam, the example is given. You polish silver, you're polishing a diamond. The more you rub, the greater the shine. Is that right? You polish brass in the temple. The more you rub, the greater the shine. So similarly, as we surrender to the process, you experience more and more happiness. So devotional service drives away ignorance, and if you take to the path of devotional service, you really experience. What do you experience as you surrender? Genuine spiritual happiness. As the sages say, real happiness. So we should, with determination, pursue this path. Śrīla Swami was a great acharya who gave us a commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada, when he was translating the Bhagavatam, he would have in front of him the commentaries of the previous acharyas, including Śrīla Swami. So Śrīla Swami states, if you run with both your eyes closed on the devotional path, you will not fall down. Normally, if you run or walk with your eyes closed, you'll fall, am I right? Mm-hmm. But he says, the devotional path is so safe that even if you run with both your eyes closed, you will not fall. What does this mean? The devotional service never goes in vain. Even a tiny bit executed accidentally can save you. In our Puranas, you read the story that there was a temple in a village in India which did not have electricity. So there was a lamp, and the lamp was about to fade away when a rat, thinking that there's butter inside, went to eat that butter, taste that butter, and while endeavoring to taste, it pushed the cotton, so the flame became brighter and people could have better darshan of the deities. If you have more light, you can see the deities better. And just because of this small accidental service, it went back to Godhead. So the point is, as Śrīla Swami said, Devotional service is so powerful that even unknowingly, if you do something, you get benefit. Jnata Sukriti and what? Jnata Sukriti. Jnata Sukriti means you're doing devotional service, but you don't recognize that you're doing this service. You go on Harinam, people hear the Harinam, they chant with you, they're getting benefit. You distribute a book, someone buys a book, he doesn't recognize that this will give me benefit, he still buys it, you get benefit. And then Jnata Sukriti. I'm chanting the holy name because I know it's auspicious. So, Bhagavatam is explaining that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is within the core of our heart and it drives away all the darkness of ignorance, just like the sun drives away what? Darkness. So we are all in ignorance. We are born in ignorance, we live in ignorance, and usually we die in ignorance. But fortunately, due to the efforts of Prabhupada and his representatives, the conditioned souls today have the opportunity to get out of ignorance by reading the words of the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, studying of the scriptures is essential. Prabhupada endeavored so hard to translate the scriptures. In Prabhupada's last days on the planet, in Vrindavan, last month, he was so sick, he couldn't even sit, he couldn't even speak. But he still continued with his translation work. Only for one reason. He wanted to leave behind tangible knowledge by which ignorance is destroyed. So that is the nature of a pure devotee. Para dukha dukhi. Seeing others in distress, he gets distressed. So we should always engage on the path of devotional service, and as we surrender, our ignorance will be destroyed. God helps those
who help themselves.
So we make an effort, Krishna will help. And Prabhupada used to say, you take one step towards Krishna, and Krishna will take 10 steps towards. So let's keep endeavoring to make spiritual advancement, and the Lord who is in the heart, recognizing our sincerity, will reciprocate accordingly. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any questions? No questions? Yeah.
Wondering that when we practice devotional service, sometimes we experience happiness and sometimes we struggle to experience happiness. What's the cause of that?
Sometimes we experience
happiness, increasing happiness, and sometimes it seems like it's more difficult to experience that.
The point is, we get scared of challenges. We get scared of difficult situations. We would all like to be in what they call a comfort zone. You know, you have different zonings. So we have within our system the comfort zone, where we want everything to be easy in our way. We should be, as devotees, prepared to struggle. Just like on one occasion, Prabhupada was being advised Take rest. Prabhupada said, please don't take away my privilege to struggle for Krishna. We should be prepared to struggle. The strength to struggle is not there. And of course, we have to struggle not only in facing the challenges, we have to struggle to control our mind and senses. Many people embark on the devotional path. They can't control the mind and senses. They become a victim of the illusory energy and they go in Maya. So we have to face challenges from various sources. It's not that you only have to face challenges in running a temple. Our first big battle is with our mind and senses. Am I right? And if you can win that battle, then you can win battle 2. If you can't win the first battle, then you won't even get to the need of battle 2. Is that right? So we should be willing to struggle with our senses also. And fortunately, we have the alternatives. If we didn't have the alternatives, then it would be another issue. Alternative means we know what the solutions are. In these pages of Bhagavata and Gita, everything is very clearly identified. We know if we do this, this will happen. If I do this, this will happen. If I engage in positive activities, as Rupa Goswami says, what's conducive, then I'm going to advance spiritually. Then Rupa Goswami says, the negative activities, if I engage in that, then my devotional service will get spoiled. If I don't chant my rounds, Maya is definitely going to catch me. If we chant my rounds attentively, then Maya will say bye-bye. We know everything is black and white. Yeah. More questions? Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj. The last point you were making in class was the last points that you were making in class is that we should continue to endeavor Krishna consciousness. But oftentimes we see devotees, they endeavor wholeheartedly and very enthusiastically, sometimes for many, many years, and then they give up endeavoring. What would be the cause of that?
Multiple causes. The prime cause in most cases is failure to control the mind and senses. And if you fail to control the mind and senses, then it weakens our capacity to fight Maya. Just like if there's an epidemic, if someone is physically weak, he'll catch the disease faster. If someone is more stronger, he doesn't get caught by the disease. Am I right? So similarly, if we're spiritually strong, and anybody can become spiritually strong, one should not think, oh, this man has special mercy, so he's spiritually strong. Prabhupada's mercy, the Lord's mercy, is equally distributed to everyone. Everyone can take advantage of it. So, the real thing is, if we follow the process with faith, then that will give you the strength. Was that your question? I'm sorry. What was your exact question?
The question is, oftentimes we see devotees, even very senior devotees, they endeavor very enthusiastically and with great determination, and that at some point they just give up their endeavor. And what would be the cause of that?
You're talking about senior devotees or every devotee? Specifically senior devotees?
Yeah.
Any devotee, sometimes very advanced devotees.
Then they give up the endeavor. Why do they give it up? No, do they give it up due to spiritual weakness, or do they give it up because managing?
They lose their enthusiasm, they lose their determination to continue for whatever reason.
Actually, we should never lose our enthusiasm and determination. Gopāla Goswāmī, when he says, Utsaha nishchaya dharya tattarkama pravatana, he doesn't say Utsaha and nishchaya are only for a few years. He had to maintain that till your very last breath. You follow? Gopāla Goswāmī says, Utsaha nishchaya dharya tattarkama pravatana, sangha tyage satovete sadvir bhakti. So he says these characteristics should be maintained till the end. Is that right?
Yes.
He doesn't give a time limit. 10 years and then you're scot-free.
The endeavor is, initially, there's no intention of I'm only going to endeavor for so many years and then I'm going to give it up. The intention is to continue endeavoring, but somehow or other, the enthusiasm and determination to continue endeavoring seems to wane, and there's not a lot of determination.
If we keep good sadhana, execute the chanting process, then there's a 99.9% chance we'll continue with enthusiasm and determination till the end. The stumbling block is sadhana and chanting. Is that right? Does anyone, I can't think of any other reason.
Association of the like-minded people who are enthusiasm. Once we become lonely, I think we become this enthusiasm goes and goes.
But who says become lonely? Nobody is saying become lonely. Prabhupada's open temples in every corner of the globe. Besides that, we have Namahat and Bhakti Vriksha groups. If you add all that, there are thousands and thousands. So the point is, if we want association, we can get it. But if we don't want association, then what can be done? Okay, any more questions? No more questions? Yeah.
Is there any clear indication about the surrender? Suppose, how can we say that we are, to what extent we are surrender? It seems like that there are different degrees of surrender. So
yes, there are. Krishna himself says, all of them is a surrender to me, I will reward them accordingly.
So how can we say that we are fully surrendered?
Nobody says you are fully surrendered. If somebody says he's fully surrendered, he's foolish. We don't say that. We are aspiring devotees. We are aspiring Vaishnavas. Okay? Any more questions? Yes.
In some cases, I feel that I'm attached to my service. How can I?
Very good. I like sweeping the floor every Sunday. I like dressing the deities. I like cooking for the deities. I like going on Hainam. That's very good. Attachment to the positive is good. The only thing is we should not be attached to the negative. Yes, any more? Any more questions? We'll stop. It's 9:30. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.